Hey, welcome back. In this video, we're going to look at texturing within inks. So in the past, we've talked about our line weight. We've talked about, adding black fills. This is a video where I'm going to focus on what texturing will actually do to enhance form. So let's take a look at a simple example here. We've got an arm, and we could add texture to give us some insight into the type of arm this is. For example, if we add some really pronounced lines here for knuckles and we add some hair, we automatically get an idea of who this particular arm belongs to. Perhaps we add a tattoo, right? And a tattoo is a form of texture. We have some overlap, and maybe we have some, veins that are also prominent. This gives us an idea of this character's musculature, his strength perhaps, and it gives some additional information as opposed to just being an arm. Same thing over here. We've got a set of beaten up shoes. We can add some little marks here. We've got a rubber sole. So we're adding some vertical lines to signify that this actually has some texture. And maybe on this side right here, it's not receiving as much light. And so we'll add some black fills. And we'll add some curves to go ahead and suggest that this thing has a lot of creases. And then these laces, if I zoom in, these laces might have a pattern or a texture that suggests something about its fibrous nature, right? So texture can be a really, really important component in giving clues to your reader on what they're looking at. Even if it's something that's more abstract or say science fiction-y or something that's maybe from your mind that is more of like a fantasy creature, adding believable textures will allow us to understand what that object or that character is. So let's now consider pants too. So we've got pants, we've got folds, right? And we can also add some texture by way of maybe there are some stripes that go down this pant. Basically anything that's basically a pattern can be considered a texture. And we can use this with our implied lines and our explicit lines to really create some pretty cool looking effects. So I'll just fill these areas in with black, and then maybe go in with something that's a little bit lighter. Like so. And these shoes might be really sleek, so we can go ahead and give a nice sense of shine to those shoes. And then for something like smoke, we can layer smoke, have some thin lines, alternate with some thick lines. And what we're doing is now we're taking this flat shape and we're giving it some form. And the thinner the lines, the lighter it is, the thicker the lines, the more dominant it is. So now we've got something that looks fairly heavy. So consider how you can add texture into your digital inks to convey form. And you can do it fairly easily. You just have to look at the material that it's being made of. If you're thinking about something that's, for example, shiny, and I'll just reduce the size of my brush because it's ridiculously big. But if you've got something that's like a shiny arm, these little lines right here can kind of convey that it's shiny. If you come back in with your lasso tool, you can actually clean those edges up so it looks like there's a little bit of a separation between each of these corrugated elements. So texture is really important. The kind of material that your object is in is really super duper important, so don't overlook that when you're actually working out. With regards to these pants, let's find a way. I'm going to just go ahead and clean this up a little bit because I think another way that I can show you texture is Let me just have a light source coming from the right. We'll have some folds. We'll fill that in, and there you go. That's another way that you can add texture, right? I'm a little bit more happy with that, even with these socks. Now, if you add too much texture, that can make the drawing too busy. So it's really about finding a good balance between areas that are busy and areas where the eye can relax. If everything is super intense and super busy and you have textures everywhere, then it might be difficult to determine what the viewer should be looking at. And that's really something that you want to consider when you're presenting a piece. You want to be able to have a clear focal point. So you can do that through the selective use of texture. So I hope you found this video to be useful. Let me know what you think. As always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.